The Baseball Together Network presents the Seattle Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Jewell Young. And now, Seattle Baseball Together.
Welcome, baseball family, to this month's episode of the Seattle Baseball Together podcast. My name is Brad, and as always, I'm joined by our guy, Jewell, on my left. Welcome, Jewell. How are you today?
Been fantastic. It's been a rough month, but we're here.
Oh, it's been a rough month, and here we are for another month on the couch of our baseball therapy, our Seattle Mariners therapy session, and it is indeed going to be a therapy session. We're gonna,
It is.
I guess, I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's like the airing of grievances, or if we're just kind of like going to vent. I don't know, but it was a really frustrating
It's gonna be a good
month.
vent session. It's gonna be a good vent session. It was frustrating. Everything about this club just looked. I mean, injuries was bound to happen. You know,
Right? Yeah.
the Robbie. I mean, we're gonna hit off with what went wrong in April. So there was a lot of wrong.
Yeah. There was a whole lot that went wrong, and then so we'll get to all that, and then we're gonna get in and we're gonna talk about the City Connect, because I feel like that didn't go wrong, but we'll get there in just a minute.
Ooh,
So-
no, it did not.
So first things first, the month of April has ended. So here we are.
Finally,
We're recording on May 2nd. This should be releasing on May 3rd. The month of April, 12 and 16. Could have been, probably should have been, honestly, a whole lot worse.
probably should have been.
Just because
I
the way
agree.
that the way that they played it, like some of that time, like it could have been a whole lot worse.
True, but it also
5.5. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It could have been a lot better. I mean, the magic just isn't there yet with the one
Right.
run ball games. I think that's huge.
Right. Well, and we'll get to that in just a second. But no, you're absolutely right though. But currently on May 2nd, 5.5 back, playing right now against the A's, up 2-1 in the 8th inning. 5.5 back of the Rangers, 4 and 6 in the last 10. Not great, but again, here's the bright spot though: +1 run differential,
That is a
and
good thing.
I think that's really great.
That's... And where are we at compared to Houston and LA? I know we're within a couple games.
Houston is 16 and 14. I think they lost today. The Angels are 16 and 14. They were winning last I saw. The Rangers are 18 and 11. We all know that's not going to hold. They're 74 run differential, and that is not going to hold.
No, I mean, they've had a very weak schedule to start this season.
They really have. Yep, they have. And then the A's will just round it out. They're at the bottom of the division. They're the worst team in baseball. 6 and 23 going into today with a -117 run differential.
At the hands of the Rangers. Basically.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Rangers are running it up on everybody early, and like I said, I don't think that's gonna hold. But this is one of the things, Jewell. So let's talk about injuries first, then we'll get to this other. So Robbie Ray is the most significant injury so far.
Hurt. That one hurt the rotation.
It did big time, because so he made his first start, and did he come out hurt, or did we find out the next day he was hurt? I can't remember.
I think he finished his start, and then it was the next day that they put him on the IL with some kind of just discomfort and more imaging and stuff. And then it was like a week. Like
it was like 2 weeks later. Then finally they were like he's going to miss the rest of the year because he's going to have surgery.
Yeah, I was like, I thought he was just going on the IL.
Yeah, so Robbie Ray out for the year. Chris Flexen was supposed to be the Band-Aid. And that's like, I think you and I were texting back and forth about this. Like, that's nice that you have a sixth starter essentially in the bullpen. You can bring him in, but he's not the answer.
No, absolutely not.
He was awful.
He's been really bad.
Gave up 16 runs in 2 starts?
Yeah, it was like 6 and then 7, and then I think he was okay for his first start, and then his
first start was fine, but there was 7. One though he just let like a 7-run lead just evaporate. Like before you even knew what happened, it was like, oh my gosh, man! Like you can't get out of an inning with a 7-1 lead. Like, come on now.
No, that was
ugly and painful. And at that point, that was before his next bad start. But at that point, I was just like, man, like I'm done with this dude in the rotation. It's time to make a move, right?
And then nothing happened.
Nothing happened for a very long time.
Nothing's been happening up until
we just kept going along with it, and the bullpen was not great. Andres Munoz got hurt. They said it was the back of the deltoid, and it was mostly just a little bit of discomfort. They wanted to make sure that he got some rest and let it heal up before it got bad, which I think is great. But he hasn't come back yet.
No, and he's in Tacoma. He's on a rehab stint right now.
Is he okay? I must have missed that he was on his rehab assignment already. But no,
he went on his rehab assignment right as Trammell went on his. So they started theirs at the same time.
Okay, sweet. That's good because now Trammell's back. That's one more bat you get in the lineup because it seems like everybody is struggling right now.
Been great so far. He's back. He has shown he's back. I mean, he hit a grand slam in his first game back.
He did. He went 1 for 4 in that game. He didn't get a hit tonight.
Granted, they lost that game, but
no, they didn't. No, they won the game.
Oh, they won that game with his.
Yeah, that was on Sunday. Okay. That was on Sunday. Went up early on Trammell's grand slam. Again, gave up the lead. Gave up 8 unanswered runs, but then came back and did end up winning in extra innings, 10-8.
Wasn't that Marco's
but tonight?
Start?
Yeah.
Marco, he got roughed up, which is his first one so far. I mean,
yeah, that's the first time he got roughed up, but he didn't get any help from his defense. There was there was one costly error, and then Colton Wong apparently doesn't have the arm strength anymore to turn a double play,
which is mind-boggling.
Yeah, let's talk about Colton Wong for just a minute.
Yes.
So he's a guy you traded for. He's under contract, right?
Yes, he's a guy you wanted 2 years ago, but then passed on.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That he's a guy you wanted 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do now, though? What do you do now? I'm going to look at his contract here in just a minute and see what's left on it as far as time and money. Like,
I think it's this is the last year of that deal.
I think it is too, because I don't think DePoto would have made a deal for a guy like him if he had a long term.
And then you also sign his little brother to a minor league deal.
Yeah, well, that's fine though. Like, I'm not worried about that. So here's the thing. So he's owed $10 million this year. 1.75 of that is going to be paid by the Brewers, and then he's a free agent after this season.
So 8.25, we're already.
Do you try to deal him? You've got Caballero who can play second.
Caballero, yeah. You have is it Deloach in AAA, or is it it's either Deloach or another one of the 2020 picks that play second?
Yeah, but then you've also got Dylan Moore who's supposed to be coming back at some point, hopefully.
But
and Sam Haggerty can play some second base.
Yeah, especially now that you have Trammell back, you can slot Haggerty in there.
At second.
And
so do you deal
rid of Stella?
And yeah, so some of those designated for assignment moves. We'll get to those in a minute because one of those is Time with Stella. That's a huge move. Yes. So do you deal Wong?
I think you.
Do you cut him? Do you DFA him?
I don't think you cut him or DFA him. I think you try to get something because it's going to be about $6 million. So either way, you can eat that $6 million. Either way, you can cut him, eat it. It's $6 million. That's not a lot in MLB money. It's not a lot for the Mariners' payroll. I mean, they're already paying it anyway. So even if they trade him, they're probably going to have to eat at least half of whatever's owed to him for the rest of the season.
At least, yeah. So, I think honestly, the sweetener will be we'll pay him. We'll pay you to take him.
It's going to be better to pay him. That we'll sweeten it with we'll pay the contract, and you give us a better return, and we'll give you a lesser prospect.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know, but you've got.
Or we'll throw in Diego Castillo for you.
Well, he's a minor leaguer now. He is no longer on the 40-man roster. He was DFA'd, and he was straight up taken off the 40-man roster. So
I didn't even notice he was DFA. Like that move down to AAA was an outright to. Like that was a whole DFA outright situation. Like I missed. Like when did they DFA him? When did they outright him? Like
so it's so crazy because Diego Castillo. I remember specifically when they made the deal for him when they traded for him from the Rays. He was a lights out closer in Tampa.
Oh yeah, he was right. He was nailed.
That is Tampa. like Jerry DePoto's specific comment was, "We are looking to shorten games. We can have Diego Castillo come in as an 8th inning setup man, and we're playing 7-inning games because of that." But he was never that guy. He's been terrible since he got to Seattle. Like he's had his I'll admit he's had his spells where he's been pretty good.
Yeah,
but he's never been reliable.
More or less, it was like since that trade, we've always talked about, oh, here comes Diego. There's the game.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that it's like you were more concerned that he was going to give up 3-4 runs, a couple, like a walk, a single, and then a bomb is what you were afraid was going to happen, more than he was going to get those 3 outs. That if he ever got those 3 outs without giving up a run or much less a runner, you were shocked.
I guarantee we messaged about it. We could probably go back in our messages and we could find
every time he comes in, it's like, Diego. And my friend Jen, every time he comes in, or our text messages every time he comes in is DFA Diego.
Right.
It almost became his nickname, was old DFA Diego. So
I know.
Yeah, it finally happened. We're finally rid of him. And one of the corresponding moves with that, I mean, Taylor Trammell coming back was a big part of it, but also, like you said, Tommy LaStella was DFA'd. That's big time because I was telling Brig on Monday on the Big Show. The Big Show came out on Tuesday. I was like, you will not win enough games to make the playoffs if you are platooning AJ Pollock with Tommy LaStella as your DH.
Right. Yeah.
That's not how you win games.
I mean, AJ Pollock has shown to be very capable of filling that DH.
He hit a homer tonight. He's the one who broke up the no-no.
Like he can play in that everyday DH role. They just haven't let him for some reason. It's like you're paying the dude $8 million. You're not playing him in the outfield. Like, why are we just rotating?
I don't get it. Out of every position to platoon on the field, you're platooning your DH. That should be your most reliable bat, and it's far from it.
And the only spot the Mariners really have the platoon is second.
Right, and they've been
every
doing
other
it.
Position. Yeah, every other position has a bona fide starter.
Right. Yeah. Pollock at this point should be the DH. Or the other thing I was thinking is that you put Sam Haggerty out in the outfield in one of those corner outfield spots and fill the other one with Jared Kelenic and then DH Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Or, DH JK for a day off in the field and however it works out. You can DH
you can shift
all
those
three
guys
of those
around
guys with Haggerty because you can move Kelenic over to center. You can put Haggerty in left, Pollock at D or Julio at DH. Give him a day off from the field, which he honestly probably needs right now.
Yeah, so he wasn't playing tonight. He was originally on the starting lineup, but I'm assuming there was some, or they said that after BP, they said that he was feeling his back a little bit. So I think that just out of precaution, they sidelined him today. So Jared Kelenic got the start in center, batting second. They basically, I feel like that initial roster that I sent you, I feel like they just put that back in a bingo hopper, and then that's how they figured out today's roster because it was nowhere near.
It was nowhere close. Like Ty went from third to second, and JP went from 9 to 1, and Caballero went to 7 hole, and Pollock's in the 8 hole, and Raleigh's in
they
the
shuffled
4,
everybody
5.
around as much as possible. It was crazy, but currently top of the 9th, up 2-1. But no, it's just crazy. It's so weird that this team that has so much potential. I was confident saying this was the year that they're going to win the World Series, and one injury to a starting pitcher is not going to derail that, right?
No, not especially not with the Mariners' depth. You would think.
Especially at that position, but they're not taking advantage of it. Emerson Hancock, I don't care how bad he's been in AA. Bring him up. You've seen what he can do.
Exactly. We finally saw the move tonight. Tonight's starter, Bryce Miller, got called up from AA Arkansas. I mean, he posted a 4+ ERA, but they didn't care about that. His stuff is legit. I mean,
It is legit. 10 strikeouts in his first start. Took a perfect game into the 6th.
Yeah.
And back-to-back hits ruined
2 hits,
the shutout.
1 unearned run. So, I mean, the stuff is there. The stuff is live. 99 top of the zone in the 6th.
And honestly, man, bring up Emerson Hancock, put him in that 5th starter role, and move Marco Gonzalez. Move Marco Gonzalez to the pen. Marco is always good for 1 or 2 innings.
Yeah, always. Marco will come in, and
he never gives up runs in the first inning. If he does, it is very seldom, and it's not very many. He never blows up the first inning.
I can see him coming in the 6th, 7th, low leverage. He's probably going to be throwing 92, 93.
I'd be fine with that. Because,
I'd be fired up because he can locate.
He can locate. That's the thing. And that's what I was saying. That's what I was telling Brig on the Big Show. I was Marco Gonzalez can locate his fastball. He runs into a problem when he doesn't. But hey, that's baseball, Susan, right? That happens.
True. And his secondary stuff is so good. It all comes from the same arm slot. It all looks the same coming out of his hand. He's so mechanically sound. He looks
think
healthy.
About this. Think about this. You have Luis Castillo go 6. You bring in Marco Gonzalez in the 7th. That's going to throw off the timing of everybody in that lineup.
Everybody, because then you have Sewald and Munoz coming in after that.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. No, I think moving Marco to the bullpen could be a really good move, because then also if you get into trouble and you need a guy to eat some innings, you got him. You know he can do it. Because that's Flexen's job at the bullpen.
Exactly. You can pull those young guys out of their start. After 3, if you want to save their arms, or if they went 4 and they're 70 pitches after 4, and you don't really want to push them that 5th, and you got Marco to come in and do 5, 6.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It really is baffling. I do want to see Emerson Hancock come up this year at some point. I think they need him. I don't think that there's anybody who's going to deal with the Mariners to give them the starting pitcher that they need to put them over the top. Because nobody wants the team to be the team to do that, right?
Mm-hmm. The Reds already did it once.
And the other thing too is that Jerry DiPoto doesn't exactly have the best relationships with most teams across the league, from what I understand. Right?
No, he doesn't.
Not exactly a beloved general manager.
No, and that's one of the downsides right there. But there's a lot of options out there. I mean, we have our very unpopular opinion, which we don't have to bring up on the show.
Right, we won't. But there's somebody you could bring in from international baseball who would do really well in the starting rotation.
Yeah.
So,
and there's plenty of dudes down in like Mexico League. There's Korean League that you can go and sign and bring over that aren't going to cost you anything.
It'd be nice, but I don't know. I think they're starting to figure things out as far as the batting order goes, as far as the field goes. I think that stuff is starting to come around. Because one of the big problems I noticed early was with fielding was errors. And errors never concern me. Like if you have a stretch of like 3 or 4 games where you're committing an error a game and it costs you the game, it's like that sucks. But at the same time, though, like errors are fixable.
That's true. Yeah, we have one of the best defensive coaches in the game.
Yeah, and errors are fixable, because I don't remember if I told you this, but I know I talked about it on the big show and with some friends, that when I was interning in rookie league, the team that I was interning for had a stretch of like 6 games where they committed at least 2 errors every game, and sometimes it was 4 or 5. They fixed that and went on and won, and they won the league championship because they fixed their errors. It was just a really rough stretch, and we were busting a gut in the press box because it was just like comical. Just like, holy cow, so many errors, and this is such a bad stretch, but they'll fix it and they'll be fine, and they were.
Yeah, so that was one thing. You look at JP Crawford this year.
What's that?
You look at JP Crawford now. Like last year, he was obviously he was hurt. He was playing through a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
he was just competing because he's a leader of that clubhouse, and he was putting it out there. But you see this year, it's night and day difference. It is gunning it. He's making every single play. He's everything. Yeah. Again, he's back to that. He looks like all-star JP Crawford.
Yeah, he does.
Who's going to get snubbed for
JP Crawford at that.
Yeah.
So, no, I think I'm not super worried. So last thing on this part, MLB.com has their with their record and everything, it has their expected win-loss. Do you want to take a shot at what the expected win-loss was?
I guess it's like 70 something right now, 70 wins.
Oh no, through this point. Like of the 28 games that they had played going into today, how many of those games they according to like simulations and stuff, what they were expected to win lose?
500, 14.
14 and 14. Yep.
Yeah, which sounds about right for this time of year, but I'm not worried. I think now that some of the problems are gone, like Wong's not playing every day, La Stella's gone, Tramel's back, you have your players back. I honestly don't see Demo coming back and making an impact. Like, yes, he will when he eventually comes back, but you can't count on that right now, and I don't think they are.
Soon. Yeah, because it was funny because I thought it was funny, at least because I felt like they were like, oh yeah, he's ready, like he's on track, he's ahead of schedule, and then they're like, well, now he's behind schedule. It's like,
yeah,
is he behind schedule because he was ahead of schedule, or is he never really ahead of schedule? Now he's behind schedule. Like, which schedule is he ahead of? Is he ahead of the initial schedule, or is he behind of the initial schedule, or is he behind the ahead of schedule? Like,
and it could be worse. We could be the Yankees.
Could be the Yankees and be in really, really bad shape. Yeah. Hey, Jewell, let's talk City Connect.
Yes, please.
So the Mariners released their City Connect uniforms last Friday. They will debut this Friday, and here are the beauties right here.
And honestly, for these, what the Mariners did so well was the hype they built around it, the videos they put out, the social media presence that they had. They're like coming soon with the dates, with the black
Mm-hmm.
and white, with the players' initial reaction, with all the things. I mean, obviously there was a leak that got out, but that's happened now
That
since the
always
Angel
happens.
City
Yeah.
Connect.
Yeah.
But these things are slick. I'm a
They
big
really
fan.
are.
Big fan. There's the homage to the Dave Niehaus. There's the Soto Mojo.
Mm-hmm.
There's the throwback to the Negro Leagues. There's the
The
Seattle
black pants,
Pilots.
yeah, the black pants and the black bill are throwbacks to
Yeah,
the Seattle
Steelheads.
Steelheads.
Yeah, like everything about it just like perfectly captures what Seattle baseball is. Like the
Mm-hmm.
My Oh My, that's a beautiful touch. That's a
Yep.
that's a honor touch. The P&W with the Rainier right there. I mean, that's iconic.
Initially I thought that was Mount St. Helens. I thought it was a little bit flat to be Mount Rainier. But apparently it is
Well,
Mount Rainier.
and then the Trident, which we honestly should have seen the Trident coming when the Trident celebration was brought out.
Oh yeah, the trident on the
It,
hat.
yeah, it kind of lined up exactly with when they released that video of the players.
Yeah, it did. It really did. So here's another thing. So I read through this whole thing the other day. So like I said, the black pants, that's a tribute to the Seattle Steelheads.
Mm-hmm.
The Seattle font that they used across the front and then the numbers is a tribute to the Seattle Pilots. But then there's
Pilots,
a
yep.
drop shadow as well that's supposed to represent being in the shadow. I think it said there was being in the shadow of Mount Rainier.
Mm.
And then, like you said, there's the patch PNW Pacific Northwest with Mount Rainier, Soto Mojo. For those of you who don't know, I remember looking this up because I was actually on. I'll never forget. I was on AIM Instant Messenger with a friend of mine. She was a huge Mariners fan. She's like, "Do you know what Soto means?" I was like, "I have no idea what Soto means," and it means south of the dome. It's the neighborhood
Yeah.
right where T-Mobile is. So Soto Mojo is south of the dome magic, and I think that they coined that in 2001, and it's stuck around. And then the crossed tridents, the one of them. It stands for Washington, which is the first time they've ever used a pointed upright trident for the state of Washington. And it says the other upright trident is for wins. And I was like, of all the organizations in Major League Baseball, they're gonna have wins because historically there's not a lot of those to go around.
I mean,
I thought that was really funny.
technically, you can claim that
Yes.
because you
1 year
you
they have
do
more
have
than
the
anybody.
all-time record.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand that. But overall, though,
Overall,
I
yeah,
just thought
no.
it was
Overall, that's a
that
little.
was really funny.
That's a little.
No, I thought
That's
that was a
pushing it a
really
little
funny
bit.
little touch. And then, like you said, the My Oh My, the homage to Dave Niehaus. I thought that they were either going to have My Oh My or Grand Salami Time. One of those two
Yeah,
they would have.
but
But
I
I like the My Oh My
honestly,
above the jock tag. That's really cool.
yeah, I love the colors. I love the colors. They all fit. They work really well together. I think the pictures look great. I think they'll look even better on the field. Like they're gonna look
I
great
agree.
on the
Oh, we didn't
field.
talk about the hat. The hat is a blue crown with a black bill, which I love because guess what,
Yes.
Jewel? I have a hat that is actually the inverse of that. Let me show
Yes.
you this real quick.
But the Trident's
So
a little bit different. The Trident on these is a bit skinnier. Like mine's the
it's a little bit
fat Trident.
narrower and it's squared off. It's a little bit more
Yes.
modern, I feel like,
Yes.
compared to what you have here.
Mm-hmm.
But no,
Same.
I've had this hat for like, dude, I've had this hat for like 12
Yeah, that
years.
thing's
I
sick.
swear.
Yeah, that thing's
I've had this
cool.
forever. And so I love the blue with the black. I think it looks really sharp. It's really crisp. I'm gonna get one. I will have one.
Yeah. Same.
And I gotta say this though, real quick. Last thing on City Connect. I love everything about this. But what I
Yes.
really wanted above all else was this bad boy. I wanted so bad the old Star Trident with the current color scheme. I was just sitting, waiting for that to
Yes.
be it. I love what we got, but I've been waiting for this hat for 15 years. I think this.
Yes.
I can't decide
I'm happy that there's no teal. I'm happy there's no teal. There's no powdered blue.
there's no teal.
There's no in the City Connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy that there's no teal. There's no powdered blue. There's none of these overplayed colors from every other team. There's no same color pants. There's no pajamas. There's none of that in the equation here. It's very like.
I wasn't big on the
nice.
black pants at first. I really wasn't. Just because I think like I maintain that the white and gray pants look best in baseball, but the black pants grew on me, and I do think that they can wear this with white pants. It'll still look really good. Like if they decide to do that, right? It's like on a Friday night, they're like, let's put away the black pants tonight. Let's go with white.
Well, they can go with the cream pants too. On Sunday alternate.
Ooh, they could go with the cream pants
because that's in the kit. That's in the kit too.
Yeah,
Granted, you can't use these. You could honestly use these black ones with that one too, because the yellow would line up. The yellow piping.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
I think the black pants are nice because they do add a little bit of variety. Granted, I wish they didn't have that yellow piping there because I think they would look great with the Northwest green.
Yeah, but that doesn't go with the rest of the color scheme.
No.
Oh, you're talking about like wearing just black with the teal?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that would look good.
That would look sick, but
yeah. But no, I think they look great. I think they're going to look even better on the field. They're going to be awesome. Going to be really good look. One of the better ones. Okay, let's wrap up real quick. How can the Mariners right the ship? What needs to happen in the month of May, Jewell? Pretty weak schedule, going to be honest with you. Not the toughest schedule going forward for the rest of this month. But what do the Mariners need to do?
I think it's just try to add. I think it's time to, the free agents. There's still some decent relievers out there. There's still some pieces that you can go and add and bring in on cheap contracts. You're not going to spend nothing. And just go and get him. Go get Gary Sanchez. He just opted out of his deal.
Go get Gary Sanchez. Don't put him behind the plate.
Don't put him behind the plate, but
I think he'd be a great solution to DH.
Yeah, go get those bats. I know you're not in this camp, and this is my personal camp. I am in the bring up Mike Ford camp and let him hit dingers.
Can't hit big league pitching. But you know what, though? Honestly, at this point, you had Tommy La Stella on the roster for as long as you did. Give Mike Ford a chance.
Exactly. He is dominating the PCL. He is dominating at that level where you're like, we can't not call this guy up at this point. Like he's not just dominating like with a slightly above average slash line. Like he is like elite cream of the crop, like talent at that level.
He has been. And it's funny because I wonder if they're just sitting in the front office like I wonder what their threshold is, because they're like, we've seen how he hits big league pitching and he really just doesn't.
Well, he could have made it. Obviously, he's made adjustments because he didn't hit like this last year in AAA.
No, he didn't. He didn't hit like this in AAA.
Obviously, there's something different, and it's
I don't know. Maybe they bring him up
first month.
Maybe they bring him up against Detroit. You're going into Detroit next week. So these are the opponents for this month.
Okay.
In Oakland right now. Yep. Then you've got Houston at home, Texas at home. You're in Detroit. Okay. You're in Boston. You're in Atlanta. And then you round out the month with a nice long homestand. You've got the A's at home, the Pirates at home, and then the Yankees at home.
Love it.
And the Yankees are in trouble right now.
They're in so much trouble.
Big time.
I mean,
they got Harrison Bader back.
Of their payroll is on the IL.
Oh, and I saw a thing today that Aaron Boone said that Judge they're looking at August or September.
For the hip?
Yeah.
Damn. Sorry.
Yep.
That's rough.
Yeah. So it could be a really long year for Yankee fans, and hopefully the
Brig.
manage that the end of May. No, I agree. You gotta go get a bat. You've got to make some moves with the starting rotation. I feel like Marco's been good, but I don't know if he's necessarily going to get it done because there's a load there that's got to be a little bit more of a load there that's got to be carried with no Robbie Ray. And that's going to
you gotta pull Hancock. You got to bring him up, pull Miller, pull Hancock, make those shifts. You just got to do it.
And you know what though? Like Bryce Miller so far has shown he can take Robbie Ray's spot and the Mariners will be fine.
Absolutely. But then you still got to take Flexen's spot.
Well, Robbie Ray was in Flexen's spot. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Or Flexen was in Ray's spot. So I think that right now, I think that Flexen is back at the pen as far as what I can tell, and Miller is in that spot. But I don't know. the thing that worries me is that they get so concerned with like managing these guys' innings that they pull them prematurely. It's like, oh, 5 innings with 75 pitches, let's pull him out. It's like the dude's throwing a gem. Let him go.
Except if you're Marco, they just let Marco go as long as they can.
Because he's stretched out, he's conditioned. They'll let Luis Castillo go. They'll let the veterans go, but they are so concerned about these young guys. Like last year with George Kirby, like they shut him down.
I think they're giving Kirby and Gilbert. I think Gilbert has that leash now. I think Gilbert's finally earned a little bit more of that leash. I think Kirby will probably get more of that leash second half down the stretch because they know they need it.
Yeah, but they're just so concerned with.
I think they're playing it too conservative right now. Like
it feels
overall,
like it sometimes. And you know what though, like so I talked about this a little bit on the Big Show that like you ever been at school running the mile and you have that one kid who runs track who runs like long distance, right?
Yeah.
And so you go to run the mile in PE and you see him go and you're like, okay, I keep this pace for at least a couple laps, right? Mm-hmm. But then there's the kid who takes off and sprints down the track and is gassed after one lap. You don't want to follow that kid. You want to follow the other kid who's taking his time. And so that's kind of what I'm doing with the Astros right now. The Astros are our pace. 3 games back of the Astros right now.
That's not bad. That's a series.
Yeah, it is.
A winnable series because, I mean, the Astros are still kind of they're not looking great. I mean, Abreu's off to a sad start, but, we're getting close on time. We don't have to talk about the Astros. This is Seattle podcast, right. So.
But, yeah, we won't talk a lot about that. But they've been struggling. So what we've got going right now, it's manageable. It doesn't look good, but it's all fixable, every little bit of it. And the schedule in May is favorable.
Yes, very much so. I think there's a lot of winnable games. I definitely think we'll probably win about 60%. So that's my mark, 60, 65%. I don't know what that math's out to, so.
I don't know. I'm not going to do the math right now because I don't have a calculator handy. But Jewell, why don't you tell the baseball family where they can find you on all your shows?
All my shows. I have the obviously ballboymedia.com. You can find everything that I do there. One big project that I've been working on is the Young Dad podcast, which Brad has been on. He's actually going to be on again in season 4. We just haven't confirmed that yet, but here's your confirmation. Recently launched, in addition to the Young Dad podcast, was something I've been working on for a couple months now called the Well Balanced Dad Diet. That's all over the Young Dad Pod Instagram page, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Young Dad Pod. You can also find me on Twitter for baseball stuff at BallboyJ. And yeah, that's about everything that I do where I'm at.
Nice. Right on. Well, you can catch me on the Big Show, the Baseball Together podcast, releases every Tuesday. We're on pretty much all the podcast platforms and YouTube. You can find us there. Follow Baseball Together on Instagram, Twitter. Sorry, not Twitter. We're on Twitter, but not like super active. Instead, follow on Instagram and TikTok. Those are the places to follow on social for Baseball Together. And subscribe on YouTube, so you can subscribe right here on YouTube as well while you're watching. But baseball family, thank you so much for joining us. Rough month in April. We're looking forward to riding the ship and getting things going in the positive direction in May. And we will catch you next month.